Hi, welcome to Mixed Media Creations with me, Creative Katie, Karen Burchill. Today we have a mixed media art journal tutorial. And today this page was inspired by this napkin. I bought it for our house and I just love the colors in it. And I thought, you know what, that's a great starting point. And that's a great beginner tip. So I'm just putting a piece of tape on the corner and that helps pull off the layer. Now this can be saved and you can stamp on it and glue those things down and the tissue paper or the napkin just falls apart. Now usually there are two layers, so I'm putting the tape back on the corner and just peeling it back and then just very carefully taking the second layer off. And I'm just saving again those for another purpose. Now, I'm not sure how much I want to use this, and quite honestly, looking at it now and knowing where this ended up, I think the scale would work better on a bigger page. But you know what? That's fine. This is inspiring the color theme and some of the design elements that I use. And when you're stuck for how to start a page, go to your napkins. They're cheap, inexpensive, and they can provide you with that inspiration. So I am just taking a fine liner brush and painting with water where I want to cut. Now you can cut with scissors if you prefer, but this gives kind of a rough torn edge, which actually flows into the rest of the journal page a lot better than a straight cut edge. So I just paint a little bit with water and then just carefully rip it off. And again, I'm not looking for precise. This is not going to be my focal image. I would have to be maybe a little more careful if that was the case. But there you can get a good shot of how I do it. Just give the water a little bit of time to do its magic. So this background has teal, white, and blue. And I'm just playing around. I'm not 100% sure how I want to set this page up or what I'm going to do. So I'm grabbing my matte gel medium. Now you can use Mod Podge. You can also use liquid matte medium. I actually take some water and thin down the gel medium because I find when it comes to using it with napkin, it's a little gentler and um, just goes on a little smoother. I'm just painting it on. Now, sometimes it may actually rip, but it's really not a problem and easily fixable. Just piece it back together and away you go. Just making sure the edges, I always have to kind of make sure I get some of the gel medium underneath the edges to make sure that they stay down. And just gently pressing with the pad of my fingers to smooth out any wrinkles. But the wrinkles, quite honestly, just add more texture and interest to your background. So I decide on the rest of the page, I'm grabbed my darkroom door script stamp and I'm just stamping. I just want some of this in there. I don't know how much is going to show in the end, and it actually does show, but it's a layer. And sometimes just having those little hints here and there really add up. So I'm taking this bright aqua from Liquitex Basics, and the tape that's on it, that just is my little system to say I have bought a new one of this color, so I don't think I need a new one. It's just my little organizing strategy. And I'm taking white, and then I have this golden color. I'm playing around, getting some golden to see if it makes a difference in there. And the golden color, I can't even remember what it is, but it's a perfect match to the teals that are in there. So I'm just painting with my fingers, the bright aqua white and that blue. And if you don't have that blue, I would also use Prussian blue in there. I think that would work well. Prussian blue leans toward the aquas and the teals. It definitely in the same family. So I'm just painting the rest of this out. Now I get to this point and I get an idea, as so often happens when I'm creating. So this stencil is called Dotted Rings, and it's a Crafter's Workshop stencil, and I am one of the brand ambassadors of the Crafter's Workshop. And I'm putting light and fluffy modeling paste, also from the Crafter's Workshop, through the stencil. And I just love this Dotted Rings stencil. And somehow, the patterning that was on the napkin made me pick this stencil. So we have, again, it's giving me more inspiration. So now I'm putting color down below. Now an interesting thing happens. On the top part where I put color and then put the modeling paste stays pretty much white. Underneath, the modeling paste takes on the color that I've painted it. So we have two effects using the same modeling paste technique. And that just adds, again, another layer of interest to your project. And at this point, I absolutely love what I'm seeing. I love the colors. I've definitely kind of taken those colors from that napkin and duplicated it. And that's a great way. If you're not sure what colors go together, take your cue from other designers, designers of napkins, designers of clothing. If you like a color combo, use that and try to duplicate it with the paints that you have. Now, beyond using the napkin, I had no plan for this art journal page. Just kind of softening the edge there. So it kind of sat for a couple days, and then I was looking for a focal point, and I thought, you know what? I'm going to use this coffee cup. I'm going to, I looked through my gel prints and I couldn't find the right color, and I decided that I wanted the cups to be navy. So I am mixing dioxazine purple and phthalo green. Now, phthalo green is kind of a blue green, and together they mix and they make navy. And I've talked about this before, but it's my favorite way of making navy. So I'm just painting that on to copy paper. Nothing too fancy. And then using my Stabilo All pencil, my white one, to trace out this coffee cup. And then I'm just cutting it out. Now, as I'm picking this coffee cup, I'm reminded of, the fad, that's really in now, the cups that have the different words on them. And I remember a couple of the new Crafters Workshop stencils that have words. So I flipped through some of my designs. Here I'm thinking, okay, I'm going to put this floral motif on there. Thinking maybe I'll put this on top and it'll read with the other one. And then I remember the words. So this one says Wild and Free, and it's TCW 842, and it's the small 6-inch stencil. And I think, okay, that pretty much fits. With a little tweaking, I can make this fit on the cup. So I am masking off with masking tape what I don't want to transfer here. So I just want to get the letters and the word onto this cup. And I have that bright aqua and the white that I had before, and I'm just stenciling the words on. And I'm loving the look. It really does look like some of these cups that you can go out and buy. So I'm giving that a dry. And then I remove some of the masking tape and reposition it for a different part because there's that flower there at the top, again, inspired by the napkin. And I see that in the corner, so I'm just going to mask off that and then stencil that onto this cup. So it's all working together. And as you can see, I'm getting the inspiration from the napkin. Before I realized I was going to use this one, I was looking through other stencils that I have, and many of my stencils have a little floral motif that you can mask off. So look at your stencils, not just the big picture of the stencil, but some of the little motifs. You'll be able to use those to add some interest to your papers. There's nothing saying you have to use the stencil exactly as it is. So basically I'm using a makeup sponge here again and just stenciling with the light aqua and the bright aqua and the white. And I'm just getting, some of this on. I'm thinking of maybe putting a little bit more. Now I'm grabbing my X-Acto knife. Now with this Tim Holtz glass media mat, you can use the X-Acto knife right on it. It's tempered glass, and from what I've read and what I've heard, you can cut right on it. And I'm loving that because it doesn't require me to drag yet one more thing out onto my work surface. And I apologize that this is a little off camera. I have this quote, "Come alive," and I'm thinking, okay, come alive, and we have the coffee cup, filled with coffee. That's kind of where I was going. Decided I need to add some highlights to the coffee cup, so I'm just using white paint with my angle brush, and I'm doing a very lazy shading, floating acrylic technique here. But I just want to add a little bit of these highlights onto this cup to give it some kind of shape. Now this coffee cup, all I did is I went on and got clip art and I found a shape that I liked, and then I just made my own template with it. So I'm thinking this is what my page is going to be. And you know what? I could have just left it as that and it would have been fine. And it kind of reminds me of the cups there and its wallpaper behind. And indecision set in, but I decide, I'm going to glue down this. Now, because there's texture paste on the whole lower 2/3 of this page, I'm putting on the gel medium a little bit thicker just because I want to make sure that it sticks. And when there's texture underneath, that's what I tend to do. And I'm putting the gel medium underneath and then on top, pushing it down into it. And it's kind of interesting because that texture paste is kind of comes through and gives another detail to the cup. And then I think, oh, you know what? I need to put 2 cups in here. But of course, I've glued that one down. So I do peel it back at the top part. And I go back, grab my page, get some more navy, mix some more navy with the Diox purple and phthalo green. Now, just for your interest's sake, this video was sped up to double time, but it was under an hour to create this page in the 2 days that I did it. So this is another Carmen Medlin stencil. This one says, "Follow your joy." And it was just that little bit too big, but I did manage to tweak it and squeeze it in without too much difficulty. It took some thinking and figuring out, but it happened. Now, if you didn't have stencils with words, you can print this out, print out the words on copy paper, use a script font if that's what you like, and kind of fussy cut the letters. And then you can paint the letters once you've glued them down if that's what you want to do too. So there's lots of options, and don't let your lack of every stencil or product that I have or what anybody has that you see do videos inhibit you or stop you from creating. Use what you have, adjust. That being said, I will put a list to products that are used in this video that I can find links to in my Amazon influencer store. So if you go on those links, just know that, I do get a small commission, but it does not cost you any more. And just double check, because sometimes the pricing, once I've linked something, sometimes the pricing changes. Take care of your crafting dollars. Watch out for hidden shipping costs and all that kind of stuff. And then there's this flower on here, and I thought, oh, I'm just going to stencil it here. And I got a little lazy because I didn't mask it off, but you know what? It worked. I love that inner flower there. I kind of wish I could buy myself a coffee cup that had looked like this, because the teals and the blues, that's my living space too. So this is very definitely in my happy zone. You could also use, instead of making your own papers, you can use scrapbook paper to cut out the cup, or your own gel prints or collage sheets that you've created. So now I'm just kind of fitting this in. And I know for a fact that while this is an art journal page, I love it. I'm loving the backgrounds. I'm loving the colors. I'm totally going to use many of the components in this in a canvas. And that's one of the reasons I use my art journal. It's kind of my fun playtime. And often, because I'm not focused on creating art, I'm just on creating and having fun, I find I'm more creative. And so I get ideas that I can then utilize on either painting projects to teach in real life, or to create canvases and home decor that I can sell. But it's all about play. So every art journal page doesn't turn out 100%. And this one, there are many things that I would not necessarily do. In the end, I don't know that even the napkin was necessary on this, but it was, because it gave me my starting point. And if you're struggling or you don't know what to do, that's a great, great, great help. I'm just gluing this one down. So we have 2 cups hanging out there. And I'm loving how the blue of the cups really stands out against the background, because there's that little bit of blue in the background. but it's providing a nice contrast. And then I have the Come Alive, which is the perfect color. And then while my intention was to use it all along, then all of a sudden I start, okay, I've got other possibilities here. Okay, we could believe in the possibilities. And I didn't like that. There's no black in this. So I thought, I'm not introducing black at this stage of the game. And then I had this one, Think It, Dream It, Live It. And it went, and I just made a decision. I'm not sure if I would do that again. I think I might have, if this was a canvas, I would definitely just have the coffee cups and maybe have 3 coffee cups with different sentiments on them. Now I grabbed my fine line bottle, and this is filled with Liquitex Basics white paint that I've thinned down to the consistency that it comes out in a way that I like. And it's just kind of trial and error. I don't have any recipes, but it lasts a long time. And I'm just outlining the cup. I just want the cup to stand out a little bit more than it is. And this definitely gave it. I love my fine line bottles. I have white paint and black paint, gold and Prussian blue in the bottles. They are definitely one of the purchases that I've made that I absolutely love using. And you'll find when you're using the bottle, if it works easier to move it towards you or away. And for me, it works better if I push away from myself than here I'm going towards myself. So move your page to make that happen. And I'm doing it in little bits. And I'm not over worrying about if it's not exactly a perfectly smooth line. It's a given, it's not going to be. Just doing more outlining. And then I decide to outline the words. I just wanted them to stand up a little bit more than what I was seeing. And I do not make you watch all of this. It takes some time. It's easier than you think, and I don't find that I have to put a whole lot of pressure on the fine line bottle, so it doesn't, my hands don't hurt from pressing so hard. So if you're finding you're pressing really hard, add more water. It should be rather effortless. Now with the Liquitex Basics inside here, I have not had any problems with this clumping. It seems to last a long time. I did when I used just regular craft paint or dollar store craft paint, when I've used that, I did find that it did clump and I had to replace it. But try with what you have and see. Now this is an Inktense pencil and I just grabbed the blue color that I thought would match and I just want to edge this. And as I said before, there is no black on this page, which is odd. Usually every page has some black on it and I just didn't want to edge it with black. I thought it would be too stark. So I grabbed the blue. Watercolor pencils work here. I like the Inktense pencils because they are ink. When they're fully activated, they become permanent, whereas watercolor pencils do not. You can also get a Stabilo All pencil that is blue, and you could use that, but that would not be permanent. I could also float acrylics to shade. But I just like that little bit of edging. It frames the page. Before it just seemed to float off, and now it looks like it's more framed. And I do add a couple layers. I go around again just to get the depth of blue that I want, then I think, okay, I'm going to make this stand out. And just a reminder, if you put the napkin, there is a coat of gel medium on there. You could put gesso on there, and that'll help it take up the medium and not soak into the napkin if you're going to apply water afterwards. And I'm just kind of tweaking it out. Then I decide to shade around all the cups, just again, to make them stand out from the background and give a little bit of shading, right? So thank you so much for joining. Please share this video with your creative friends. Give me a thumbs up, and as always, leave me a comment. I answer every comment. There are some pictures of this project, this art journal page coming up, as well as there will be suggested videos that are on a similar theme, color scheme, or use some of the same materials. Thanks so much for watching. Bye for now.